Sean forgot the music.
Wow.
Somebody's
a little
What
rattled.
do you mean? I was giving you guys a round of applause.
Oh my
Somebody
gosh.
rattled and
Well,
forgot the music.
Wow.
Whoa.
What do you mean? What? The music? I heard all the music.
How did we have
was
intro
the
music though
countdown
after
music,
that?
not
Like,
the intro music.
We're good. We're good here.
It's all good.
Can I hear what there would have been? Because I mean, that was a 10 out of 10. I was engaged the whole time. Who did that for you
man.
guys? Was that Petey?
No,
yeah,
no,
Petey,
Petey could never do
buddy,
something that
That's heavy lifting,
technological.
but they don't let me do heavy lifting here, Biz.
Just right off the hop. Well, welcome into the PHNX Coyotes podcast, brought to you by the one and only DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a 5-star review. I'm Leah Merrill here with Craig Morgan and Steve Peters as always, but today we're joined by a very, very special guest, Paul Bissonnette. Paul, welcome to the PHNX Coyotes podcast.
What an intro. I can't do the intros like that. We leave that up to RA, but thank you guys so much for having me on. I knew this would be a layup because I'm so familiar with you guys and I love what you're doing. You got Petey in the mix. I spent more time with Petey than I did most of the guys on the team when I played for the Coyotes.
Yeah. There might have been a few games where you weren't on the ice and you were back with me. That might have happened.
I was eating popcorn and hanging out watching the game, and Petey was kind of coaching me along, and it was awesome because we used to talk shop, and there was things that I would learn in that room with you where you'd be like, yeah, no, I get what you're saying here, but this is how he wants it, and Tip was a very structured guy, and I learned a lot from Petey's room.
Wow.
Biz, did you get a sense of
Did somebody flip that?
Yeah, don't bust his ego.
Yeah.
too
I know that's my
much.
new phone ringer.
Tires.
Well, make sure you include this in the clip. Biz, did you get a sense of Petey's stress levels, his anxiety?
I thought Petey wore it so well because he was always so panicky, and like you could always tell how it was going by his facial expressions. But he always looked like he was in the mix in the fight. He was in the fight with us. So I would say throughout all the stress, he never really showed it that bad. He was always honest about his feelings towards things. And yeah, no, Petey, you were a joy to work with, and it's no shock as to how you were able to bounce from coach to coach. And you were like the longest tenured coach in Coyotes history.
I know.
Were you not?
Yeah, until somebody wrote an article claiming the headline was "Coach who's never been fired."
Who was that?
Petey.
No, it's like, oh, what's this rock over here left unturned?
6 months later, beat it, pigeon.
Oh,
and then he's like, I
God.
got to give you the job on the pod now. He's got to snap it back.
He felt guilty.
I've been living with this guilt for years.
That's great. Yeah. So, I mean, just like you too, Morg. I mean, you were there from the beginning, man. You've seen a lot of things.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. I know you've been traveling a lot. I can't even imagine. We'll talk about your flights as well. But in addition to Spittin Chiclets and TNT, I know you have some business interests as well. So why don't you just give us a sense what a week in the life of Paul Bissonnette looks like?
It's a lot of phone calls. It's a lot of creative. It's a lot of planning ahead and shifting and logistics. And running your own business while doing other things that I'm also interested in. So it's a bit of a whirlwind. It's been difficult at times to try to balance it all, but I mean, I don't know, man. I like the challenges. I think that I had a shorter NHL career because maybe I partied a little too hard and I maybe didn't focus to dial it into the details. So I just feel like I'm making up for it in the back half, and it's actually something that I actually really enjoy. And the harder you go at it, you tend to get more control over what you want to do, at least to a certain degree. And it's been fun, and it's been a crazy ride. And so as far as a week's concerned, it depends. It depends on if you're doing something that you've been planning for months and months and months, and you're all of a sudden you're at the NHL All-Star game and you're doing a Chiclets Cup and you're going all these meet and greets and this whole party weekend that you've planned among all these other things, among playing in the ball hockey tournament while capturing all the behind the scenes content to release a video of it. Yeah. It's just like the wheels are spinning like crazy. And it's like I said, it's mad.
Biz, when you retired from the game, what did you envision your post-career looking like? Did you even have a clear plan at that point? And how the hell did it get to where it is now, where you're, like I called you recently, a cottage industry?
I don't even know what that means, but I'm just like imagining hearing like Bob Cajun by the tragedy of the hip in my head where I'll take it as a tire pump. So I think I always knew that, like my Twitter account, I kind of liked my freedom and like to be able to kind of do things how I wanted to. And I actually engaged in conversation with Brant Myers when I was with the LA Kings organization. And just by asking questions, as I always do, I learned about how he set up like an LLC, and he was now working with the Kings. And he was basically invoicing them. And he got to kind of run his own business, and he would be able to never really have to be fully branched down to the LA Kings, where he could maybe go give talks and this and that. And I just kind of found it compelling and interesting. And then once I found out I was going to go work for the Coyotes, I'm like, well, I mean, it seems pretty like reasonable. Like I could be able to figure out to do what he did in Arizona, because I also don't want to always just being pinned down to do Coyote stuff. I wanted to dive into that film project called Biz Does BC as soon as I retire.
Right.
Like didn't matter if I had the Coyotes job. And I did it, and then learned a lot of things where like all of a sudden brand deals started popping up to where I was like, oh shit. Like, oh, sorry about that.
You can swear.
Oh, you can. Okay, sorry. But I was like, damn, this is a bit of a hustle here. Like I can like, and as I mentioned, like creative control was a very important part of it, where I didn't always want to have to just rely on let's say the Coyotes income. So I set that up, did that project, worked with the Coyotes. Things were growing great with the Coyotes. I was learning the ropes on that end, and like how it all worked with like the wall sheet and like interacting with Nasher and Heater, among kind of starting all that other stuff on the side. And it kind of just like it's turned into just like this massive whirlwind. Obviously jumping on with the podcast took on a mind of its own, and at that point in my life was still okay with like letting it fly, because I still hadn't really grown up. So for that reason it garnered more attention. So it just kind of just all came, and there was never really a plan. And that's what's like when you look back, and I don't look back a lot. I usually just kind of say, okay, good job, on to the next thing. But I mean, what's it been, like 4 or 5 years? So it has turned into something insane. I don't have children. I had a passion for it. I kind of love it. It's insane, but it all kept me motivated, and it's brought me to here.
Oh no, Petey.
I know these are long-winded answers.
No,
but
it's
I hope
perfect.
I hope
muted
I'm
my
breaking
mic.
it down.
He muted himself.
I was trying to step on you perfectly there.
No, I hope I'm not too long-winded, but I hope I'm answering your questions
that's what we want.
How you guys want them.
Buddy, do you think they want to hear from me? No, it's the Biz. So, Biz, when you were a player, that's when, and you got to look back at the time, that's when social media really just started to blossom, and it started to be a thing. I mean, now it's every day, it's every practice, it's literally everywhere. It's part of your broadcasts now, all of that. But back then it wasn't. So when did you really become Biz Nasty 2.0? When did that become almost your persona? Because it's you were a player, but that was so much of what you were, even as a player, your social interactions. When did that and how did that start?
So the first account, it was just more of the old Twitter, where you just, it was in an insane place. There wasn't much politically correctness, not as much of, and it's just the needle has completely moved. And the 2.0 came when I had the first one kind of canceled based on a scare, and probably something like, looking back, it's like I definitely wouldn't tweet it now. It was when I said sorry communists, back to the Soviet, when Kovalchuk got his deal rejected. So my agent told me, he said like, hey, nothing good can come of this, delete it. And I did. And then I remember the team getting emails, and the Rich Nair called me, he says, why are you telling people that we told you to delete your Twitter? I said, oh, I never told people that. They must just assume that you did. And then they said, hey, we're going to reboot it come training camp. And then I just was like, okay, I'll say Biz Nasty 2.0. I don't know if it was because like it was like Microsoft 2.0. I was just kind of like this updated version of, as maybe like sometimes you roll your eyes at where the needle has moved. But I think from a social standpoint, the internet, if you siphon through it a little bit, it can kind of teach you a little bit about like where you can bring certain things and not. You kind of flirt with that line. So that whole like persona kind of just kicked off of that. And I think that kind of goes to like, if you talk to me, like sometimes I might be heated about something, but I think I'm a pretty reasonable person. I'll try to push the limits, but I don't want to piss people off too bad. It was all just a joke.
So you were a player, obviously. You joined Chiclets, where you already said that you really let it fly in the beginning, but then you get a TV role with the Coyotes. You're now on TNT. So how do you ever struggle to censor yourself? Like, you have to go from one thing to the next, where one, you can, swear and do whatever, and then another, you're on national television. So how do you kind of find that balance? And do you ever worry about going off the rails at the wrong place?
Yeah, so that's like the one thing. So it's hard switching it over just because of the non-filter. Like I'm so used. That's why the podcast is nice, because when you have crutch words, you're like, just like in the locker room when sometimes you get the floor, you'd be like, fuck, and we're just I'm a bit of a meathead. I was raised in a locker room. I'm not a polished speaker. So to run it through the filter sometimes, yeah, it does make me even it makes me even more nervous for like the TNT gigs, even the Coyotes gigs. You're on live television. You especially don't want to say the wrong thing there, just because you don't want to make it a bit of a nightmare for your employees. You don't want to, like, for whatever reason, at your worst possible moment, you were just so happens you were on national TV saying a dumb take or whatever it may be. And you're not as susceptible to that on the podcast, which we're like, that was so dumb, like take that out. So it's very difficult for me to bounce back and forth. I get ultra nervous and wound up on the day of a TNT broadcast, just like I would Coyotes. Just in the podcast, I tend to go fight or flight, but not as bad as TNT.
That's interesting. Talk told us that with TNT, there's really no script. You guys like to basically freelance it or improvise, but you still get nervous. Can you talk maybe a little bit about what a typical day is like then? What are you doing on a game day? What's Talk doing? What's the entire crew doing? Gretzky, Anson, Liam, all those guys.
So I tried to get in the day before so I can at least have a good sleep, wake up at a decent time, given with the time change from coming to Arizona, and then just try to be active and then eat well and just kind of get in a good frame of mind. And then making sure you're caught up just on the overall landscape of the league. Because that's also what's hard about it too, is you don't really get to go too much in depth. Now that playoffs and we're going to have more time and there's longer pre-shows, you're going to be able to dive more into the, this, and we'll get into this later, like the stuff that Petey the teaching clips, like here was the breakdown. Here's where it all break down. This is what they're successful at from the whole year standpoint, and be able to be more of that. But you just got to kind of keep up more of with like the drama and everything that's going on. So just making sure you're caught up with that, and that you're rested and ready to bring energy for the show. So, and in the same boot, like, we all just started working together. So you're trying to develop chemistry and, like going from a podcast forum down to television is very difficult because we're able to be so long-winded and articulate our thought and break things down. We're on the broadcast. You kind of want to give off like 3-4 sentences clean and off, and that's just not me. It's hard. I'm trying hard, and I'm, and you try to get a little bit better at, but then you carve yourself too, because we started implementing the Biz shot clock and shit. Like it's real. Like,
so you're sitting there, Biz, and you got a goat on the stage. You got party hats on. You're breaking sticks. You're dancing. Do you instinctually go sometimes, hey, this shit's not working. Like this one's not working. This one's money. I nailed it. Or, this one's a little hot. I'm not getting it. Do you get that internal monologue because you've done so much of this?
Yeah, yeah, like maybe where you're.
I mean, you don't have to give examples and bury your network.
Oh no, because I think everybody. That's the beauty of it, though. Like everybody's had input, right? Like Liam and Gibby, they tend to run the show, and they always take our feedback. And we, I mentioned being nervous before the show. It was kind of like playing. Like I just wanted to get my first couple shifts under my belt, and that's usually when it was nice. And we, sometimes you don't have as much time, and we're hoping sometimes we have more time, and communicating that, maybe not doing too many demos as opposed to doing less demos, and keeping them more for things that yeah, so we just were all learning that all together early, and we still are in order to improve the product. So I guess that's what's been a joy about working there. It's like everybody cares and everybody's trying to work with what we have from a time standpoint, what we need to cover standpoint, what we want to make sure we shed light on standpoint. And and there was there were social issues that were going on at the beginning of the year. So Ace really like took a lot of the weight off of it's hard for me to speak on. I never experienced it. Ace did. Ace talks about the Willie O'Ree and the impact that he had on him. It means more coming from him. Like, let's just be flat out honest, right? So we were, it was an interesting year, and coming out of COVID and all that stuff too. So it's been very fun learning and seeing how it all works, and working with a new team, just like I would have on the podcast. So I guess the overall is, yes, I'm grateful that I was able to kind of work with the guys on the podcast who have helped us achieve what the whole podcast has, and more. And even the people on the backside who have helped us, as well as now transitioning over to this, and like Talk's input as well. And sorry to keep talking, but Talk is, Talk's a coach. He's been a leader in some regards, where in some of the breakdowns we did before we would go on, he'd say, "What are we doing?" And he would clarify with everyone. And I loved it because he took control in that moment. So like that was, and I texted him after the next couple of days. I'm like, we needed that. Great work. And then same thing with Liam with something else. Like, yo, you were a horse tonight. Or same thing with Ace during that time. Like, buddy, like, thank you. Like I was very nervous going into that show because of what you had to talk on.
So obviously you live in Arizona, TNT's in Atlanta. You're always flying back and forth all the time for not just those two things, but everything else you're up to. So I was just on a flight this morning, and I have to know from you, what are some things that drive you crazy about flying? And, what are some things that people, if you could just tell everyone, like, just please, when you fly, do this, what would it be?
It kind of sucks that they haven't advanced to a system where I don't have to take my shoes off.
Yeah.
Like it's just like maybe the shoes, but I think you're just going to suffer from the abuse of travel. And I think as you get older, it really takes its wear and tear. And I mean, Petey, like you did what you did for as long as
but
you
not like
did.
this, not like going through airports and security.
Okay.
I had cream puff travel a bit.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess I didn't anticipate the amount of abuse it would have on my body, and that's one thing that now I got to really make sure I'm keeping up with as I slam down my second beer of the podcast.
Yeah, but do you work out? Do you hit the gym?
So I was getting mentally exhausted at one point to where I just was not motivated enough to do it, for having that free time to just say, but I said, screw that. Nope. And then I got a trainer who's helping me from the ground up. Chikrin, I saw him on Chikrin's Instagram, and he just helps with a lot of the breathing and getting your movement back and kind of just hitting the reset button. And I think that, like, anybody listening, and you guys know, like, Morgs, I think that you hike quite a bit, don't you?
Yeah, not as much as I used
Peloton,
to.
buddy. He's Peloton now.
Okay,
that's right.
But you're getting your fitness, and you're getting kind of like it's important. It's really important. And with all that travel, and luckily we're at the Four Seasons, and we're fortunate enough that they're flying us first class. Me and Talk usually try to meet up when we can. Liam's in there sometimes, depending on what hours he's working out at. And yes, that is an important factor.
You've got Chikrin's trainer. So do you go to the bar with your shirt off or on? Have you seen Chikrin with a shirt off? That's ridiculous.
Chikrin is built like a Greek god. He could probably play NFL linebacker. No, but and we're branching off hardcore now. I have so much respect for Chick, and the fact that he at a young age has dealt with significant major injury, but he's always, as you can see through it, like, and sometimes, like, people are like, oh, he's not like posting like the beach workouts. Sometimes he's posting these odd movement workouts and things where you're like, wow, he's really doing a lot of different types of things that I probably wish that I would have been doing as far as movement and breathing and all that. And so I was following one of the guys he was posting about working with, and I called him about it, and he put me in touch. But I think that, like, Chick has been able to bounce back from these major injuries and produce. I mean, going back to last year, he had a major year after going through 2 major knees, a shoulder. Then he had to get his wrist done this past off season, and that's a lot of of a mental grind. You could tell he's just in a right frame of mind where he looks at it like, I'm going to attack this from a professional standpoint, and I'm not going to let it derail my career. And that's like big ups, because it sometimes, like, the mental grind of it, guys are just like, oh, they're just fed up with the injuries and they kind of give up, and it messes with the whole thing.
So have you seen his bobblehead coming out on Friday?
No,
the chicken bob. Oh, buddy, Thor.
He's a
Marvel Knight.
He's a
Thor.
He's a Greek god. I mean,
literally, it's a god.
He's like a modern day Pyatt, I would say. Where,
oh, buddy, I was gonna bring pictures in of you and Pyatt, like the man crush back in there. If people could understand the man crush,
come on,
buddy, the blue eyes.
Tell me this.
Can help you.
The blue eyes. That's right.
Tell me this. You're a single young guy and you're playing with the Coyotes, and you got this awesome, cool Canadian on the team, Taylor Pyatt, and you're probably thinking, buddy, if I stand next to this guy when we go for beers,
buddy, I'm with you. He was handsome. It was the eyes. It was the blue eyes.
And if I was smart enough to figure out how to even be in the league to begin with, I could have figured out being Paisley's line mate at Blue Martini. You know what I'm saying?
No, he's a handsome man.
But
Paul. It wasn't
and Paisley, he is. Yeah, he's a man.
But Chikrin's there, so he's got Thor the God bobblehead coming out Friday, and I'm not making that up. It's Thor Marvel.
Oh, they're actually doing the Marvel.
Swear to God, it's a Marvel. He's got a hammer. Thor. He's got the hammer.
Got the hammer.
What does the Paul Bissonnette bobblehead look like? Like, where has it been? Because there has to have been several. Where has it been?
They did an Biz one Kenobi, and I'm going to be honest, guys. Like, I think it's so silly, and I'm very fortunate. They made one in Wheeling, and I love it. It's more of a miniature one.
The Nailers did?
Yeah, the Nailers did one. I don't know. I don't know what other place I played. It might have been the Nailers did another one where it was the Bobble Fists. So here,
that's money.
But this was my my time in Wheeling was so special to me because it was so bizarre. I got to play at that level and then work my way up, and I saw some stuff that, like, Jovo went right to the NHL. He's never stayed at the Motel 6. He never went and ate, pregame at the Olive Garden with the boys in your tracksuits. Like, it was he wasn't taking the sleeper for 24 hours where, I played in Wheeling. Our sleeper bus broke down a few times, like, as we were leaving town. Like, it was chaos. And I love the jerseys, and I love my time there. And it was a level that I got to, like, have fun in. And I played in the All-Star game. It was just fun. So I love the jerseys too. So that one I always keep right here. But the Biz one Kenobi is the one the Coyotes did, and I gave all mine away. And I don't really like that attention. It's just like, oh God, like I get like, oh, we got to do that. But at the end of the day, the Wheeling one is special to me, though.
Did you bring anything back from England?
No, not much other than memories. I had a great time there. I think that I just told them to, like, auction off my jersey or something like that. I don't even think I have a Cardiff Devils jersey unless it's at my parents' place. But they might have lost that when they had the fire. So I'm not sure. That's a good question as far as memorabilia, but the Cardiff that was awesome. I got to I would say that was probably even a lower level than the ECHL, but it was just one of these other stops along the way that I had these funny memories, good or bad, like driving 11 hours to Scotland on the same day of a game and then having to play that night. Being like, how is this not in their CBA where that has to be like a night before trip?
Because there is no CBA.
Right. Exactly. Like our backup goalie, his real job was he worked at a car rental place, and he had these sneakers that were covered in duct tape because he wasn't making much. And I remember I had our Coyote sneakers, and after I was there for 7 weeks, he was the same. I left my sneakers. I said it was as part joke too, like, hey, these things were covered in duct tape. It looked like Jesus had wore them. Right. So I'm like, hey, I left them our Coyotes Nikes that they had provided because I knew when we got back to training camp, they would have a new pair waiting for us because we're spoiled brats. Right. But what other thing? Oh, I like got locked out of my apartment one night and I slept on the carpet. And that was actually the night before. It was my first night in town. And I went out for drinks and obviously, and and then we jumped on a bus at 6 a.m. and nobody told me that I also had to pack my own lunch for on the bus because we ate on the bus. So basically we're not stopping for a hot meal along this 11-hour bus ride to go then play the game.
Oh my God.
Oh, buddy, it was a gong show. No bottled water at our rink. We played at
we're
the
gonna get
deep.
to a bottled water story in a moment, but not quite
Jesus.
yet.
Did anybody share their fish and chips with you or something? Did you get any food on that ride?
We stopped at a convenience store and I had to get a couple like hot meals you throw in the microwave on the bus.
Oh,
yeah, it was but I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah.
I know. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I've been talking your ear off.
No,
I'm sorry.
you're all good. I know Petey has a story that he wants to get to in a second, but before we move on, I just want to remind everyone that the NBA playoffs are here and the DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NBA. And this week, new customers can bet $5 on any team to win and get $150 in free bets instantly. You win no matter what. Plus, each day of the first round, get a risk-free bet up to $10 if your same-game parlay doesn't hit. Bet the Suns to the moon. I mean, the Suns play tonight. I'm excited. So if you want to bet on the Suns tonight, you can download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code PHNX. Bet $5 on any NBA team to win their game during the first round of the playoffs and get $150 in free bets instantly. That's promo code PHNX at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. That's 21 and over. Arizona only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Now, Petey, I want to know about the story that you teed up.
Round of
Isn't
applause.
she good?
That's a
Thank
great
you.
ad read.
Thank you.
That's
Good.
what we
Isn't
do
she,
on the
Biz?
Chiclets. If you go flawless ad read like that, you get it. Come on, guys, jump in.
Leah.
there.
Oh, that's impressive. All right,
There we
we'll
go.
do it.
There we go.
Thank you.
And then transition into the bottle story. Come on,
Yes.
man.
Stick
Stick the
That's
landing.
amazing work. She's good at what she does, Biz. So the bottle story. This is when you were going to Biz on the show, I started thinking back of the Biz moments throughout time at the Coyotes, and there were several, and a lot of them were on the ice. And the job he did on the ice, I honestly, I don't know how you go out there and do what you did. Hats off to you. That's incredible. Not only your game-winning goal in Buffalo, which was huge. I wish that would have been on DraftKings. But one of the moments and one of the biggest moments for me is when we talked about before, social media crossing over into hockey. I go to the rink early in Winnipeg. I'm at the Winnipeg Jets coach's room. I get a call from the travel guy, Rick Bronco Bronstein. Is Coach Tippett there yet? And I said, no, what's going on? He said, we got a problem with Biz. And I go, oh no, oh no, what did he do now? And the whole things that Biz has done wrong in his life, and it may be a very short list. I don't know. This one is incredibly minor, but there was a problem at the hotel, and he sent out a tweet from the hotel regarding the price of water in the hotel room in Winnipeg. It was $5 a bottle, and he took a picture of the bottle of Fiji water and said, "Do you remember what your quote was?"
Wait, it was only. I think it was more than $5.
It might have been more than $5.
I think it was $8, and it was like a mini Fiji bottle. So just so we get the story.
Yeah,
straight.
that's good.
I was kind of like, and I think I said F off Fairmont.
Yeah, I think the word F off and the name of the hotel was all included in your tweet.
I think I might have tagged Fairmont, but it was. So here's where the story gets squirrely. It was actually on my Instagram, which wasn't even that big at the time. I might have had 30,000 people following me on Instagram. So we got to the hotel the night before. And like I said, I have just sometimes when you're just a young punk and I talk about the experiences in the ECHL that humbled me. Sometimes you're in the NHL and you tend to get a little like, hey, cool the Jets, buddy. So we get provided water and fruit and granola bars when we walk into the hotel. Is it Fiji? No. But I walked into the hotel room when we were in Winnipeg, when we got there the night before the game, and they had this little Fiji bottle with a tag on it that said $8. Well, I'm thinking for the regular person that's showing up to this hotel, they're going to get in their room and they're not going to have the water. And I'm thinking, $8 for this little Fiji thing. Like I'm thinking, I'm from Welland, Ontario. That was like an hour's work for my old man at the steel mill. Like kind of like F you, right? And I posted on Instagram and I never thought anything of it. Went to bed, never heard anything of it. Went to the rink the next day in Winnipeg. Tip was so good as a coach where he would always make me feel like make it feel like it was like a last minute real tough decision that I wasn't going to be in the lineup, which I always like thought was kind of comedic, where I was like, yeah, I knew I wasn't going. Right? Yeah, like I would, yeah. But I usually did a pretty good job of never like being like, I would never get drunk the night before, probably because we didn't have many guys who would go out the night before a game anyway, but just more of a kind of respect for the game. But so Tip called me over. It was a tummy stick conversation. Then it's like, I know the drill. I'm going to skate with Jimmy Playfair. And so I did that as usual. And I distinctly remember, and Tip and I don't know if Tip and Jimmy can confirm this, but I remember Tip going to the glass and calling Jimmy over in the midst of my bag skate. And then Jimmy came back to continue my skate, and I could just tell that the tone had changed. It had completely. There was a shift in the universe, and I could sense it. Right. I think sometimes I got decent intuition, to where Jimmy was always awesome to me too, and I like. He wasn't giving much back in the conversation, and we tend to have skated a little bit harder than usual after that. And after I was stretching after the skate, he goes, "Hey Biz, Tip wants to see you." I'm like, motherfucker. I'm like, what is going on? What have I done? I'm like, I knew something was up. So I get to like where they met to the conversation, and I know that the coach's room is down the left all the way, and I'm just like, what have I done? Like, I haven't done anything that stupid. Like I've been good on Twitter. I haven't seen anything stupid on Twitter. And I walk in the coach's room. I think that Bronco was actually in there, and he's just sitting there like with his hands in his lap. And Petey, I think you were in there too, and it was up on your laptop, and it was my Instagram post. And right away, I'm like, fuck. And he is red hot, and he's like, what the fuck is this? And he's like, and I'm like, sorry, Tip. And he's and then like, you know, then he tells me that they're threatening to kick the team out of the hotel. A healthy scratch who plays 50% of the games, who probably doesn't even belong in the league to begin with, is going to get his team in the midst of like, I don't think we ended up making playoffs that year.
No, close though. We're in a battle.
We were in a battle. It was a distraction, and I was like, oh no.
Not a lot of hotel options either. So
no.
Yeah, he was so. He came up before the game, and I was like, oh fuck, like I feel so shitty. And he like was like, hey, like you know, shit happens, and like kind of like scoff it off. Where I was like, oh man, like thanks. And then we lost 4-2, I believe the score was, and yeah, that was a shitty one. But like when you,
but that's where it crosses over. That's where the social media gets
Yeah.
into the hockey, and it was the first time that I ever saw that. It really became aware. I thought it was Twitter, but that shows how silly I didn't even know what it was. But it's just, it was like, and I remember Broncos, like he had to call a hotel and it was a big freaking deal. And honestly, looking back, really, like if that's the biggest thing that was caused by Twitter today, people would be laughing at you. Like that.
Yeah.
Like you're kidding. That's just how much the game has changed. But Paul, the one thing I did want to say, and I know
I'll say this, Petey, quickly. I appreciate the fact that you talked about how it got to where it is. If I don't land in Arizona, Jesus, dial it in, Biz. If I don't land in Arizona and the organization is not as lenient as they were with me regarding the social media, it turns into what it turned into. So it's when you look back on it all, like Rich Nairn, Bronco, like everybody, all the people early on, the early days, like Don Maloney, Tip, everybody, the assistants that we had, everybody. It was.
But that's what I want to say, Paul.
Yeah,
and people need to understand this. Like Paul Bissonnette, if you know Paul, there is a bit of a character here. There's no question about it. I mean, but this is his personality. He's funny. He likes people. He'll talk to you. That's all true. But to get where Paul Bissonnette is today, that's really, really, really hard. that's a lot of work. There's a
Mhm.
lot of blood, sweat, and tears that goes into this. From the first day he said, "Welcome to the booth, Bob Heat House," to where he is today, that is a very, 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 very long journey, and it was really hard. And I have to say, Paul, what an outstanding job you have done, because this, I talk like this in front of this microphone very, very, I don't know, a couple months. This is hard. And I look at you and I go, my gosh, what a great job you've done. You're unbelievable on TNT. Chiclets is worldwide, unbelievable. And I have to humbly say, it all started with Bob Heat House in the radio studio. So first, everybody needs to know how hard this man works. It's not just a joke, turn on a mic and I'm silly. This is hard miles, hard hotel rooms. So I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to do this with us, Biz. So thank you.
Oh no, buddy. Yeah. It was just finding the right time. And like, I knew I could just come on and, you talk about the early days and, we've had a lot of experiences all together, and buddy, this is,
so in the summer,
this is enjoyable. This is fun conversation. We should do this a weekly
I know
thing.
at the studio. We should come to the studio and have a beer sometime when the season's over. We'll sit around. We'll put.
I think we should do. Yeah, we should do at least one a year. Right?
100%.
And I do. And I 100% want to come into the studio. I
we
like
foosball.
Knee
hockey.
I will also say though, you guys for the Zoom thing, you guys have your rhythm down. Like, you guys had a great setup. So this is, you guys are buzzing.
Wow.
Thank you.
That too. Raises are due. Clip that.
A beer in studio and then maybe going out to eat downtown would be a fun thing after. Not to give out your address or where you
pretty sure.
I know you got some stalkers
just
probably at this point.
You've got that TNT money you're buying, by the way.
Oh, 100%. Well, I'll bring the per diem.
Do you make talk by? I'd make talk.
No. We go back and forth. Wayne is so generous. Talk is extremely generous, but I try to make sure, just because like all the help he's provided and the wisdom and stuff. Yeah, like I tend to try to jump on him. Like Jonesy and then we went out for breakfast the other morning. Like I'll jump on. I want to make sure I try to get ahead of that stuff. But he's like, talk is, he'll give like door guys and stuff in the drivers like 50s for tips, and like they're already tipped, and you're like, holy.
He is the best. And I will say this, because I got the opportunity to work for him for several years. He is the best, but there are days when he is a very, very grumpy man, and he lets you know it. When you're on a 5-6 game losing streak, things are a little tough in the coach's room around Rick Tocchet.
I haven't seen that side. I can obviously, sometimes I saw it on the bench where he was just like the frustration. And, and you're coaching these, young and experienced players. And he was just on a different level as a player, and also the guys he played with. And also he's had the opportunity to, to coach in Pittsburgh. So like it's hard. But he's been a massive help to me. He's been very positive, and I said he still has that fire in him. That's why I'm like, don't get too excited that he's going to be around TNT too long, because I just feel that he's still got too much to give in the coaching department, and I still think he's hungry for it. And I think the right opportunity is going to find him, and I think he's going to get a nice deal. And he's gonna be like, nah. and then he'll be snapping at the next video coach, which I'm assuming might even be you.
We'll see.
Don't take him from us.
Yeah, I kind of like this.
He would let you do both. He would just be like, he would be hounding you at 5 in the morning for video on something.
Well, Biz, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I do want to ask you about the Coyotes, because this is a Coyotes podcast, and you are an unapologetic supporter of this team, maybe the biggest. So how do you handle all the negativity and the bad attitudes that are out there? Like, there's such, a negative storyline kind of surrounding this team and then nationally. So how do you deal with that? And what is it that makes you be such a supporter even today still?
Well, I mean, we touched on the aspect of what the organization's given me, just not only as from picking me up off waivers. I don't think that I spent 5 years in the NHL, especially with the social media situation and them being lenient in that regard. All the amazing people I got to meet along the way. Then the transition, the soft landing after an athlete's career. We didn't really go off into that, but like, you see some situations that other guys find themselves in, and how how like they like with like Nasher, Walshy, Jody, all of that side kind of been helping me out and helping me get to where I got to. Rich Nair, still with all the staff being, some of the familiar faces that were here before, trying to keep the organization even during my playing days together and moving and under all the unfortunate circumstances. So it's just like I've seen a lot and been through a lot, and vice versa with the organization. And I just like, I always feel that like I'll be intertwined, and because I'm forever grateful for it. And I also, I don't always see the negative in everything. I see like this is not an ideal situation of us going to ASU next year, but I'm like, hey, it's probably a step in the right direction, especially if the arena deal works out. And it seems like the owner is pretty committed. Like we never really had an owner with deep pockets that is this committed. And I look at the optimism of it all, and yeah, like any organization is going to make mistakes along the way, but I'm a firm believer. I'm a firm believer in the market. I'm a firm believer in the people in the area. And I just hope that they don't forget who are the people along the way that help to kind of keep it where it is now, and the ties that it has now about them when it all becomes eventually successful. That's my only concern. And it sucks to say goodbye also to like the arena staff people that won't maybe be making the move, and the jobs that won't be created because of a smaller rink, and you don't know who's going to actually become impacted by it. It sucks. It really sucks. It was hard for a long time here for everybody, and I want it to be successful, and I want it to flourish again. And hopefully when that new arena comes, they don't forget all those faces and people that helped them get it back to where it is.
Well, before we let you go, we told you before that we wanted you to be here for an ad read, which listeners who've been here since the beginning know about these. So this is now Petey's job. He used to be the video coach, obviously, but this is his expertise now, is writing ads for this particular brand. So I'm just going to hand it over to Petey and let him take this one away.
This is what pays the bills now, Biz. We lost a sponsor earlier, and as of today, one of our favorites is back. Well, hockey season is almost over, and it's time for America's pastime. Get out your bat and balls. It's baseball season. Join over 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with their male grooming needs, and the partners who are glad they do. Get this exclusive offer, 20% off and free worldwide shipping with the code COYOTES at manscaped.com. Before your partner gets into the on-deck circle and gets their hands on your bat, clean it up. Don't step into the batter's box with a messy bat like George Brett. Get that gunk off your junk with the Performance Package 4.0, featuring the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. It's waterproof so you won't get rained out. Has a built-in light for those night games. The Performance Package also contains the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver ball toner, boxers, and a travel bag. You can step up to the plate with confidence. You'll be sending your balls over the ivy, flipping your bat like Jose Bautista in no time. Make sure your playing field is groomed and you are smooth, clean, and fresh before your partner makes a headfirst slide into home plate. Don't strike out. Grab your bat and swing for the fences with Manscaped. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code COYOTES at manscaped.com. And now, for the first time ever in my Manscaped reads, time for a little song in honor of baseball. You ready, Biz?
You're gonna sing?
Here we go. You ready? This is for the.
Oh
this is how
my!
you
I was
sell
gonna
stuff,
applaud
Biz.
you, but keep going. Yes. Oh my goodness, this is
Take
amazing.
the hair off my balls a day. Get the fuzz off my nuts. Shine up my peanuts and cracker jacks. I don't care if it ever grows back, for it's buzz, buzz, buzz on my privates. If they're not clean, it's a shame, for it's manscaped.com for a smooth balls game. Play balls. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code COYOTES at manscaped.com. Manscaped. No nicks, no cuts, no fuzzy nuts.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm speechless.
You took it to another level, Petey. You took it to another level.
Got to pay the bills, buddy.
How many times did you practice that?
I've been singing that in the shower for a week.
And it sounded like it.
Yeah,
that was a performance, buddy.
There you go. There we go, buddy.
That was like Elton John. You just need a keyboard now.
Because you had no idea this is what you were in for today at PHNX, did you?
No, I knew it was going to be great.
But but now
You
you'll
guys
be
don't
back.
mess around. I knew it was going to be professional. The minute I heard that intro, I'm like, oh man, this is dialed. I was, the graphics and all of it, the tune. I was down with the tune. I want to hear what was not played though.
We'll send it to you after. It's
No,
not
I
that
want to
special.
hear. I want everybody to hear it.
The intro. What happened to the
Sean's
intro? Sean?
panicking back there now.
Who's behind the scenes? Like
Where is
who
Sean?
fumbled
He
the
actually
intro?
had a
Sean, pop in,
question for
Sean.
you
Oh, yeah, we
about
need-
your Buffalo
in.
hatred as well. So
Yeah.
Pop in, Sean.
he's from Buffalo.
He's from Buffalo.
What's up, Biz? Yeah, so I'm from Buffalo, and
Where's the camera?
He's not on
because I can't. They're
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, it's the voice of God here, and God's from Buffalo. So I obviously follow you on Twitter, and I've seen that you've had a little bit of a beef with my hometown and my childhood team. So I guess I have to know. I guess it's a two-part question because I'm sure the second part has a good answer. A, what do you have against Buffalo? And B, what are your opinions on Chippewa?
Okay, so the Buffalo thing spiraled a bit out of control. I found the amount of booing towards Eichel a little bizarre. And then especially after the way that they like wouldn't let him get surgery. So if anything, like he was trying to just keep it amicable. Craig Rivet said that he thought that he was going to get a standing ovation. I don't think that was the case. I didn't think he was going to get booed as bad as he got booed. I genuinely didn't think that. So I just thought like, oh, okay, well this fan base who like hasn't been able to surround this superstar with like really anything. They kind of fumbled the O'Reilly trade, and he's probably looking around like, what is going on here? They haven't made playoffs for 11 years now. And maybe his attitude toward all that, was, and then it kind of just spiraled out of control. So as far as like that, I started ragging back on the Buffalo fans, and then they are a very sensitive bunch. It came back, and then it just spiraled out of control to where I said I was going to take a dump on Chippewa Street. I shouldn't have said that. We're doing a special project with Labatt, and they're like ready to pull out, and I'm like, this is we got a riff here going on, and we got a ball hockey tournament going there. So I was kind of playing the heel, and buddy, these people are lunatics. They're lunatics. My business manager got a couple of emails with people like telling me to eat shit and die. Buffalo.
Wow.
So it's been like, okay, all right. These people are just like, it's a whole different level. So I'm backing off on the Buffalo stuff. It was all just a joke to begin with a little bit because of the Eichel thing. I wanted to stir it up, but yeah, definitely over with maybe a few little pokes just to kind of see if there's still a hornet's nest, but not to the level of me threatening to take a shit on Chippewa Street. I'm actually going to probably hire security for when I go there for the Chiclets Cup, partly for humor for the video, but partly because I might do I'm sure Wayne was staying under a different name when he was on the road with you guys under the hotel, right?
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
He used
So
Steve
I might
Peters
have to do
because
that.
no
in
one's
Buffalo.
looking for me.
I might get shanked in Buffalo from this whole feed. So I just want to give everybody the full story.
I know the city like the back of my hand, so if you need any advice, I got you.
Yeah, you're probably gonna like lead me down this path, Ron. Because
I'll send you to the east side. I'll send you to the east side where Benny the Butcher's from, and I'm sure you'll be real safe there.
Okay, so Benny, do you guys know who Benny the Butcher is?
No, we need a lesson here.
No, he's a really, really good. Is he independent or who's he with?
I think he started independent. I think he has a deal with Eminem's label. I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised because he's just like one of these guys who's actually saying stuff, and he's good. He's talented. He's more of an MC, and I think that the industry lacks a lot of them. But and he's a Buffalo guy, so yeah, he's. I listen to his stuff. He's awesome. I love rap music. I follow all the drama too, and that's like one of my guilty pleasures.
So Petey has to go.
I have to go do my other job. That
I'm getting kicked off. That's how much.
No, you can stay. I gotta go. I literally have to turn around and go to St. Louis.
Yeah, so we'll let Petey go, but we'll wrap up. You don't have to leave yet, Biz. Last game.
Great to see you, and thanks.
Yeah.
But I do really have to run. Thanks, guys. Thanks for everything, and we'll see everybody tomorrow.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Petey.
Amazing. Bye,
See you,
Petey.
Petey.
I'll say bye to these guys.
Thanks.
On the
Yeah.
way out.
Yeah, we'll head out here. The last game of the season, the last game at Gila River Arena, it's April 29th. And actually, Biz, we are having a party bus go to and from the game, the PHNX Takeover. We're having a party bus round trip. So with a ticket, you get a ticket to the game, a ticket on the party bus. It's a round trip ticket. Josh Doan, meet and greet with Josh Doan. He'll be on the bus. A shirt, free food and drink, giveaways. So if you know anyone who wants to a ride to the last ever game, no more drives out to Glendale, we'll have our PHNX Coyotes party bus to the last ever game at Gila River
Morgs
Arena.
is gonna do a little strip tease down the aisle too.
Oh, don't even.
He's got to get his shirt off and get the. Are you gonna be on the bus, Morgs?
It's not determined at this point. I'm definitely not going to be on the bus without clothes, though. Nobody wants to see that, buddy. Okay. Nobody wants to see that.
That's awesome.
We might get Matty McConnell on to do his bus tunes, though.
I was gonna say if you're sacrificing your seat, you should get somebody on there, maybe like kind of getting everybody going, maybe a little local history on the way in on the highway, like pointing to the old Coliseum. Well, that was potentially one of the landing spots for the Coyote, there's whatever it may be. But so I'll be at the 22nd game this Friday, and then I will also be at the 29th. So the 22nd this Friday, I met Brock Lesnar at the Four Seasons in Atlanta. And we exchanged numbers. I sent him like Pink Whitney and merchandise for his kids. His kids are hockey players, and he's in town, so I'm getting him a box. So he'll be there. They're nice. Trying to get him to bang the drum. And then on the 29th, I got a group of people in because we do these like merchandise. Like if you're a loyal merchandise member for Chiclets, you get like they won a contest. So they're coming in, they're golfing. We put them up in the hotel. They get a box for the night. So it's kind of, I'll obviously go meet up with them and grab a few pops. So it'll be a few fun last games, and I hope I see you guys there. And if your bus is arriving, like just maybe try to give me a heads up. Maybe I can come say hi.
All right,
oh, you heard it here first.
Do that.
Yeah.
Hey, you think they should do a whiteout for that last game? I've been asking people about that. What do you think? What do you think of that idea?
I mean, I like the idea. Like it's just like how quickly can they get the word out?
Yeah.
Like one blast from your Twitter. Do it.
No, I ain't gonna do it. And then I'm gonna look like the idiot. Like just like half the people are gonna be, nobody even turned out. There's gonna be one guy, and like he's got his face painted white. He's like, "What the hell, man? Biz, you ruined my life, man. I did this for you." I'm like, fuck. And then I'm gonna feel bad. But hey, how many people came? Does it tell you?
What, on this live?
Yeah,
there's 37 people watching right now, but this goes to audio after, so a lot of people will be listening.
Yeah, it's about
as
the
well.
Downloads.
Nobody gets to. Do they get to watch it?
Oh yeah, it's available
going to be on YouTube, and then it'll be a podcast too. So
yeah.
Okay. All right. Send it over to me, buddy, and I'll blast it out. And thanks for having me on.
Yeah, we appreciate
you so much. We can't thank you enough for joining us.
No problem. Glad we could make it work. Is that it? Is that all? We're all done?
That's
we're all
it.
Done
we're
for
all
today.
done. Thank you everyone so much for watching. Give us a follow on Twitter at PHNX_Coyotes and like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And we'll see everyone tomorrow night for our post-game show. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. And Biz, thanks so much.
Ow, ow, ow.